Hey YouTube, this is NJ4Water5 and I'm on to another Bluetooth speaker. This one is going to be more of a boombox-ish kind of speaker. It's going to be a lot louder, a lot more bassier. I'm not sure of the main driver yet. I've got a Dayton Audio DC160-4 and I've got a Dayton Audio ND140-4 5¼ driver. Because I was doing some measurements, I'm not sure if I can put this driver in there, the regular driver, not the Neo Balance, and that's because I won't have no room for the battery and the amp. So I'm not for sure which one of these I'm going to use yet. I have a feeling I'm going to end up using the 5¼ aluminum. With it, it's going to go, I'm going to put a couple of ND65-4s for the mids and two 30-watt tweeters. These tweeters are pretty cool. I've been using them for a while now and I'm pretty happy with their performance. They're not really name brand, they're kind of just an off-brand name, but that's okay. With all of that, I'm going to be using I'm not sure if I'm going to be using one passive or two passives. I'm going to try to go with two passives, and they're the 83080 Peerless. It's like a 3.5 inch passive speaker. I would like to put both of them in there, but I have a feeling I just won't have the room, so that it should marry well with the Neo Balance driver. This one needs probably the extra driver, so that one would need two, which again would be limited on space. I've got custom made crossovers, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use these. I ordered some of the what are those called? These things right here. I ordered a couple of these, and I think I may just put one together myself the way I want it to be, the way I want it to sound. Not to mention, because of this limited space, I want to put it together where it's just kind of free, not free fall, not free hanging, but where I can like glue it to the wall of the speaker box. That way I still got the room. This right now is kind of bulky and I'm not sure if it'd be the way to go. It's going to be going in this big case right here. It's a case, it says it's let's see if I can find where I put the specs. I'm going to put a speaker grill on this one too. I got one for both drivers. It's a 13.78 by 12.6 by 7, and it's like a Pelican case, except it's a off-brand. And like I said, I'll be adding grills to this one. And the main driver is going to be the Up2Stream app 2.1. That's this driver right here. It's one of the new ones that they just came out with. It has the 3 potentiometers on the front: bass, volume, treble. I believe it might have on and off. I'm not too for certain. But it keeps telling me that every time you turn this on, you got to press this button in the back. So I'll be hooking up a momentary switch to that, just so that I can control, you know, that from the outside of the speaker box. I've got extra antennas. I have to locate them, but I have antennas for this too also. That'll give me more of a reach. Even though this is Bluetooth 5.0, the reach I'll get out of it with the antenna should be more than 20 meters. That Up2Stream amp comes with you can either get it without, which is the way I received it, or you get it with the remote control and a power supply. And the power supply I'm going to be using is a 24 volt 4.16 amps. So being 24 volts, I decided that this is probably going to need a 7S battery. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, yeah, 7S. That should put it at around 24 volts or somewhere really close to it. And I looked at the specs online and it looks like it could take it. Besides, it's going to need all the power that this amp can dish out. It's also Bluetooth, of course, Wi-Fi, Spotify. It does. These guys worked really hard on these amps. I was supposed to do this video about 6-7 months ago, but my health just didn't pan out. So now I'm back at it. I've already built 4 speakers that you guys probably already seen, and after I'm done with that, we'll get to testing. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to map out the specs of everything to see which driver I can use and which one will fit with the battery. That way it tells me, you know, which driver I can use. And then once I do that, I'll start drilling my holes using the masking tape technique and a hole saw bit. I bought a hole saw bit especially for this driver, but I'm not 100% certain if I'm going to use it, so hopefully this works for this driver, because they're basically the same size. This one's just a 1/4 inch bigger and got a bigger magnet. This one's about the same size, it's just got a smaller magnet and it's neo balanced. So I think I'd probably get more bass out of this. I'm not 100% certain, but that's it for now. The next time I see you, I'll have the holes drilled in my speaker box and hopefully the speaker set. Then I can figure out where to put the amp, the battery, and possibly a boost converter or buck converter. I'm not sure yet. Okay, here's a better look at the box I'll be using. It's a Durabox. It's pretty thick, but I just got to see if I have the room to put everything I need in it. It looks like it should be. I'm gonna have to make a face for the amplifier, but right now what I'm doing is I'm going to be making a few cutouts, and then after make the cutouts, I'm going to see which speakers fit, which speakers don't, and I might take a few pictures and let you guys see, or I might just videotape it after I'm done, so you can see how I do it whenever it comes to the bigger boxes, the bigger boom boxes. Looking at this right now, if I use the ND 140-4, I'll have room for the amplifier and the battery pack. And I'm sure in there somewhere I can put this boost converter, or it might be a buck converter. Pretty sure if I try to put the bigger one, I'm not gonna have that space. Bass might be a little bit more punchy with the neo balance. So this kind of tells me I'm going to have to go with the ND 140-4. Another thing I found too while I was going through stuff was this. You got no room nowhere. found this kind of specs on how I was going to build everything. This is what I had planned originally. There's your 7S 3P with a 7S charging adapter, going to the boost converter, and then I believe it goes up to the first power switch, which will turn on the battery. I need to add an ohm because that's a 12 volt switch, but it runs on 24s. Then I have a on off on button that I can use right here. One side will be the plug-in, which is 24 PSU. Off would be both of them off, and then the other one would be the 7S battery, which includes the boost converter. And then over here is the other DC jack, but that'll go only to the 24 volt power supply. You'll also use the well, of course, all of this will be running to power the amp. The amp has right left woofer. There's where I'm going to install the two antennas, one for the Wi-Fi, one for the Bluetooth. What I did put on this piece of paper that I should have is the little momentary switch that I need to have in the back of here to power it on each time. I believe also the momentary of the button, once I get it installed, I can press it to change it from Bluetooth to Wi-Fi to USB to SD card or whatever. Even though I probably won't be using none of that stuff, I'm mainly going to use Bluetooth. From the speakers, I'll go the crossovers. Still, again, I'm not sure if I'm going to use the standard crossovers or if I'm going to put my own in there. And then from the crossover, it's going to go to the speakers. The speakers, the right and left channels will run one ND65-4 with a tweeter, another ND64-4 with a tweeter, and the woofer side of the amp will run the ND140-4. It's pretty basic, a little complicated, but not too complicated. When I know that it's going to be a hard build, I try to write a diagram down, that way I'm ready to go every time. Alright, so I got the holes drilled. This is kind of big, so let me see if I can get this all on camera. That's the inside. I'm gonna use a Velcro strap for this over here to hold the battery in. It's gonna have the boost converter sitting under there. From the boost converter, it's gonna go to either straight to power. I haven't decided yet. I might just go like that. And I'm gonna have another DC jack that you can just plug it in and use it that way too. I haven't really decided yet. I think I want it more portable than plug-inable, so I might not do that. I haven't got that far yet, but anyways, here's the front face. I cut an oval out. It's kind of crooked. I cleaned it up as much as I could. Put plexiglass in there, and then drilled the 3 holes for the knobs. It's bass, tone, and no, it's volume, tone, and bass. The IR remote, and there's the LEDs right there, so they should all light up perfectly fine once I get it going. In the back is the a passive radiator, which I'm not going to get to right now. But it's using what I showed you guys in the beginning of the video. So I'm going to start drilling my holes for the odds and ends after I figure out what I'm going to use and what I'm not going to use. And I figure at the end of it I could probably do another sketch on how I put it together. So I'm going to move on to the next step. Alright, so one thing I had to do is I had to take the amp back out. The reason why is I needed a hook. There's a momentary switch back here that controls Bluetooth, Wi-Fi reset, basically controls, you know, the power and stuff like that. But anyways, I connected 2 wires to the momentary button, and I'm fixing to hot glue them so that they stay stationary and I don't got to worry about them breaking off. Also, this only came with the Wi-Fi antenna, so I had extra antennas and I threw one on the Bluetooth. That should give me a little bit more range, I think. I've seen somebody talking about it. They said that these are Bluetooth 5.0s. When they stuck an antenna on there, they got 18 to 20 more feet out of it. So that's a good distance to have. I mean, you could probably pretty much play this inside your entire house as the master, and then slave 2 of the other amps. I haven't got the other 2 amps built yet, but those builds are builds that are going to be pretty fast, and I probably won't even film them. They're going to be so fast because they're just speaker and amps and, you know, battery. But hopefully I get them done before this is finished. If I do, then I can show you the master and slave network. What it actually is you could play music on one of the Bluetooth devices and connect it to any other device that has the amplifier, has one of these amplifiers. I've got 2 of the amplifiers, but it's the kind without the knobs, and it's 2.0 instead of 2.1. So hopefully I can get, you know, at least 1 speaker built so I can show you that. If I can't, it's all over the internet. It'll tell you how to do it, what to do, and all that good junk. So yep, that's about it for the amplifier. Again, it's an Arylic amplifier. It's like the amp, I can't remember what they call it. Oh, and I double checked this with, I double checked the connection with the multimeter to make sure it worked right, and it does. So I'm still shaky. My medication I take is shaky. That's why I haven't really been filming but anyways, yeah, I'm gonna let this dry. Once this is dry, I'm gonna set this, and then I'm gonna drill the holes in the back. I decided that I went ahead and bought a 19.4 charger for this, so I went ahead and decided that I'm gonna go ahead with that, and it's gonna come with a DC jack and multiple other jacks to the things. So I'm gonna need a DC jack for the charging and a power switch for the on off, and that one I'm changing. Well, it was here. It's a switch. Instead of using one of these rocker switches, I decided to use a switch that I had that's black and pretty decent looking. Once I find it, I know it's on this table somewhere. It's probably underneath this towel. I put the towel down because I didn't want the speakers hitting the table, and I didn't want to poke nothing out. Another thing I got to do now is I got to figure out the crossovers. I'm not sure if I'm going to go ahead and go with these. It's looking like I'm going to be using something like, it looks like I'm going to be using something like this with something like this. This is 7 watts. It says 1.5 ohms, but it's actually 2 ohms. I'll probably end up cleaning that, taking those leads off. But I believe these go in parallel, and they get connected to the mid bass. And then I have capacitors for the tweeters, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go with the 2.2 ohm or 2.2 UF or a 4.7 UF. I haven't tried the 4.7s yet. Somebody told me those would probably be better. They're bigger, but either way, this is about the only way I can get the crossovers to fit in there, because I have already made crossovers that are custom made, but they're not big, they're just too big for the case. And then I have to cut these cups smaller, probably right to about there, and I'm going to cut the cup so that I can stick it over the Indy 65s or whatever they're called, because I don't want the bass pushing against them whenever it's going off. So this should make it louder and better. The tweeters, they're already sealed, so I don't got to worry about those. But that's where I'm at for now. So I'm going to turn this around, hit it with a little bit more hot glue, and then put it together and start drilling my parts once I find the rocker switch. So again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Okay, I got the amp back in. So what I'm going to do now is I cut a piece of plexiglass. I'm going to stick on the bottom part of this, and I'm going to hot glue it in so that it gives it a little bit more stability. And then after that, I'm going to start on the holes so I can clean it up a little bit before I start throwing everything together. Pretty sure I got everything ready. The only thing I have to do is I've got to finish the screws on the tweeters, but I want to put hot, I don't know what this stuff is called, B700 around the edges so that it's sealed. And then I'll probably put Gorilla Glue around the connectors in the back to keep them sealed. So I guess I'm going to get started on that, and then I'll get the speaker set, and we should have a Bluetooth speaker. Hey guys, I'm almost finished with this. I'm waiting on it to dry. What I did is I cut 2 pieces of plastic cup. I put them over the mids so that they wouldn't get in the way of the woofer. I was gonna go crossovers with this, but I talked to the tech over there at Arylic, and he says that it has built-in crossovers and there's no need for it. He actually said there was really no need for the capacitors, but I went ahead with capacitors. I've already glued in the charging button, power button, and the momentary button that controls the Wi-Fi stuff. I don't know how this is going to work. Everything's connected right now. I'm going to give it about another hour, and then I'm going to close it up and test it out. So after that, it's basically the end of this one. On to the next project. Thank you. Alright, well, that was the little test. I didn't even have it up a quarter of the way and that thing was already bumping loud. You probably have to wear your headphones to really get a good hear for it. It comes with the remote control. I went ahead and purchased a 29.4 Leon charger. Yeah, 100% Dayton. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I will check you guys out in my next video.